Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Chris Hensing. Meg is away this week. Thanks for joining us. The hospital's security breach by hackers has been contained, but getting things back to normal will require rebuilding the network from scratch. Plus, a push to eliminate tuition fees in Ontario, students demanding action at a campus rally. And hitting the rink in new colors, we hear what these new jerseys mean to young hockey players in Windsor. It will take over a month for the 5 hospitals in southwestern Ontario that were impacted by a ransomware attack to get fully back online. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa joins us now live. Jen, when exactly can people expect hospital operations to be back to normal?
So not until mid-December. Experts have advised the hospitals to completely rebuild their networks. The hospital says that patients will see diagnostic and treatment delays as this restoration work happens. And it expects that medical tools and clinical applications will slowly come online in the coming weeks. Transform, which is the hospital IT provider, said in its statement today that it's working on recovery in 5 phases. So it has contained the cyber attack, but it's still working to identify the cause, remediate and restore the network, and it continues to monitor that network activity. And Transform says that through its investigation, it's found out that all of its clinical and non-clinical systems have been impacted.
Jen, what does this all mean for people who are trying to access care for the patients?
So what it means is that your doctor might not have access to all of your medical records until at least mid-December. So doctors might not be able to see past patient records or their medical history, a patient's current list of medications, reports from other clinicians that are involved in that patient's care, or any pre-screening results. Transform says that some of its systems are working, but it just might take longer than usual for records to be accessed. So specifically lab or diagnostic imaging results. And so as a result of this, some doctors might continue to cancel scheduled appointments if they feel that it's not safe to move forward. But if this does happen, doctors are expected to reschedule that appointment as quickly as possible. One expert who isn't involved in any of this shared some insight as these systems recover.
The first few weeks of trying to recover a healthcare environment from a ransomware attack and making the painful choice not to pay are absolutely hellish on the teams trying to get these things back together. IT inside a hospital is incredibly complex. You know, at the core of a hospital's IT system is diagnostic imaging, X-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, and more. These are absolutely vital to everything we understand about modern medicine. And getting them back up, running, working, and recovering those records is incredibly difficult.
So Shipley tells me that, Transform is actually being more transparent than he's seen other companies be in similar situations. He did say he'd like to see more outrage from national government leaders condemning this attack since it has impacted Canadian lives. And as we know today, Chris, as well, more data has been exposed onto the dark web. That's what we're hearing from sources, one of which is a website that regularly reports on these sorts of breaches. In that joint statement from the hospitals and Transform, they say that they're working to identify the people impacted, but they likely won't know for a number of months.
Still a lot of uncertainty there, Jen. Thanks for this. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa live tonight. That a cyber attack on our local hospitals over the past couple of weeks, it's brought into clear focus the fact that there are criminals out there in the shadows, but there's also good guys who are working to prevent ransomware and other online attacks or to pick up the pieces after trouble hits. There's actually a new cybersecurity program at St. Clair College that trains them, and it just launched in September. Here's a bit of a conversation that they had on Windsor Morning today with host Amy Dodge.
It's whack-a-mole. It really is.
That's a good analogy.
It's the idea that you hit one spot, another one will pop up. How it's done is the same tools that we use, and then it's just exploiting and understanding how to exploit that network if they can understand what that network actually looks like. So that on the security side is so important to essentially not hide your network. I don't think you can hide anything anymore, really. It's just the idea that how do you then segment that network into something that is not understandable.
Right now, there are more than 50 students in the program. It'll get them a one-year graduate certificate. They learn skills such as cyber forensics, network security, and ethical hacking techniques. The college says graduates typically find employment related to cybersecurity in the manufacturing and supply chain sectors. The murder-terrorism trial of a man accused of killing a Muslim family in London will soon move to closing arguments. Nathaniel Veltman is on trial here in Windsor, and all evidence has been presented to the jury. Now they're waiting for closing arguments before deliberations start. The 22-year-old has pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder. The case is further complicated by additional terrorism charges. Those will be debated by a jury for the first time in Canada as part of this homicide trial. The defense has conceded that the accused struck the Offsall family in London on June 6, 2021 with his pickup truck. He killed 4 people. He seriously injured a 9-year-old boy. The prosecution says Veltman planned this attack, that it was motivated by far-right ideology, and that he wanted to send a message or a warning to other Muslims. Veltman himself testifying about an unhappy childhood in a strict Christian home and telling the jury that his mental illness and obsessions that led him to watching hours of anti-Muslim content online affected him. Today marks the National Day of Action, where students across Canada are demanding tuition fees be eliminated so that education is accessible for everyone. University of Windsor students joining that Fight the Fees campaign.
It's important that we're here today to advocate for students for affordable housing, affordable tuition, grants, not loans, the possibility to move forward in careers, to move forward with an affordable education, whether international, domestic student, just to be on the same base and that moving forward, at least to make the system more equitable for all students.
Education must be free for everyone. Whether you are a citizen or international student or permanent residence, it must be free. Because like I work a lot of hours in a week now these days, I have to put a lot of effort in the job that I can use that time to improve my skill set. I want to do a business. I want to put that time to develop a business. I want to grow Canada, to develop Canada. But I have to use the most of the important time of my life to do some jobs just to earn money. I want to develop Canada and I want help from government.
Unifor is celebrating the end of auto talks. Bargaining done now that the deals have been ratified with the Detroit Three. Auto unions on both sides of the border believe it will lead to wins for all auto workers, including ones that are not inside a union. Production is back up at the Windsor assembly plant, fresh off a new contract promising a big win for local workers.
It's a true blessing because by the future models that are coming in, by the battery plant, you know, out of all the global choices Stellantis had, they picked Windsor, Ontario, you know, to build this next phase.
This plant just finished retooling, so it's ready to make the next generation of Stellantis vehicles, which the company now confirms will be Dodge muscle cars alongside continued production of the Pacifica. Employees will get a 20% wage increase over 3 years, and the time it takes for a production worker to make peak wages, $44.52 an hour, has been cut in half. When the plant is on layoff, employees will make 70% of their pay, up from previous contracts. And the deal brings a promise of something employees are happy to finally see, relief inside on those hot summer days.
What we have is something called a reconditioned chilled air system, which will give you at least, you know, perhaps not an air-conditioned facility, but a facility that's going to be dramatically cooler than the summer elements that building has to undergo for half the year, which will make it a lot easier on the body to work.
On a larger scale, this deal confirms what's expected in the shift to electric vehicles, a smaller overall workforce at assembly plants. Stellantis plants in Brampton and Windsor will return to 3-shift operations, but the company is forecasting that it will not need the same number of employees for production. Windsor's plant employed just under 6,000 people when it last ran 3 shifts. This deal says it will need 4,700 when that shift returns. Stellantis forecasting 900 fewer jobs in Brampton. Unifor says those predictions are low, saying there will be job losses in the transition, but not to those extremes. There's also 2,500 jobs at the battery plant, which is expected to open early 2025 in Windsor. The Detroit 3 negotiations with Unifor and UAW now finished. Both unions have eyes on expansion.
Our union just showed the world what's possible when workers unite to fight for more. We have created the threat of a good example, and now we're going to build on it.
Hundreds of workers that produce seats used at the Windsor assembly plant are on strike. Integram seating employees began picketing in front of the Lakeshore business early this morning. Unifor Local 444 saying both sides are at an impasse and that an agreement was not reached by that midnight deadline. The facility is part of the Magna International Manufacturing Group. Workers voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike action earlier this fall. Students of the Windsor-Essex Catholic School Board's Hockey Academy are skating in orange. The special hockey jersey is being worn to raise awareness of the history of residential schools in Canada. We visited Central Park Athletics earlier today to see the new uniforms on the ice.
I really like this jersey. It feels like we are finally wearing something that represents Canada and how we can learn as a country and as a community, because we are in these jerseys, we are learning together. We are learning a lot about what mistakes have been made and everything that we as a country failed to do and what we're going to do now.
They're going to be wearing them at the rink, in games. They're even talking about bringing them to tournaments so that they can spread awareness and an understanding of what National Day for Truth and Reconciliation means, and orange shirts. Phyllis Webstat, she was the person who brought the story to life, and it really symbolizes her struggle as a student in a residential school. Her first day of school, her grandmother had purchased an orange shirt, brand new orange shirt that she wore to school. That orange shirt was taken from her and it was never seen again. There's a correlation between the orange and her loss of the shirt with what Indigenous children also experience: the loss of language, the loss of culture, the loss of tradition, and sometimes the loss of life. We here in Canada and we here in Windsor and Essex County are part of the family. And when you don a jersey, you understand your roles and responsibilities as not only team members, but we as Canadians, about how we need to respect and protect each other.
Ride-hailing company Lyft is planning to launch in Windsor, part of an expansion in southwestern Ontario. The Uber competitor says it is currently looking to recruit drivers. Here's what people think of that new service coming to the area.
I do have a car here, but when I need to, I'll use an Uber for sure. Whatever's faster. I find that there's lately a lot of backup on Uber, so I feel like if they had Lyft here, it'd be very beneficial to the city.
Do you think that that's a good thing to have another service like that in town?
Definitely. Of course, for people like us who are probably not driving, we definitely need a lot of those.
Yeah, you're riding your bike around town.
Yes, I do. But that's also not possible in winters, right? So yeah, we do need those taxi services because, again, it's convenient. Convenient when it comes to using bus services. It's more convenient to go with cabs.
It's good to be in competition with other companies, because if there is no competition, the work cannot be good. Yeah, if there is a competition, everybody can know how to treat a client or a customer. Because if there is only Uber or only taxi, they will not have customer care. Yeah, customer care is good if there is a competition.
Here to talk about taxis. When Uber launched in Windsor in 2015, the cab union launched a pushback, but this time around it does not intend to put up a fight.
Last time we thought they had the support from local politicians, let's say, to be here, all right? And we fought, and we put on a good fight. And they didn't go away because they, like I said, they had the support of local politicians that wanted them here. And we're not going to go through the same thing. Why give them the media and give them the popularity? No, they're popular as it is everywhere else. I don't need to talk about them anymore. You know, I don't need to go to the city or to go and do anything. Every new business will have their honeymoon period, I call it. Yeah. They enjoy the profit making and the sharing our business. But at the end, the citizens of this city will realize that taxis are there to stay and taxis are more dependable, safer. Taxis is where you can trust to put your kids in and not worry that something is going to happen to them, right? That is a bonus to me.
Uber, a direct competitor of Lyft, told the CBC that adding an alternative service could be helpful for the market. A 7-year-old Walkerville girl looked out her window one day and she did not like what she saw, a litter bug. She took to her notebook. She wrote a letter that she hoped would reach the ears of government, and in a way, it has. Jacob Barker spoke with her about an issue in her community that she would like to see cleaned up.
So I saw somebody run to their car. They were probably in their 30s or 40s. And they ran to their car, they had a cup in their hand, and I was writing, and then they put the cup under their car, and then they drove off, and I was furious.
Show me the look on your face. So what did you do after you saw her do this?
I wrote it down. And then since my mom is an architect, she has contact with the government. Well, she has contact to put it, and she has contact. Well, she is able to tag the government if she puts it on a meteor or something.
You said, "Mommy, do you have the government's phone number?" And I said, "I don't really know if that's how it works."
And then I gave her the note.
Read it for us.
Person littering under their car does not care, then drives off. Fact, littering has a high potential of ruining the environment. Thank you for your patience. To the well-known government, from architecture pro Val's daughter Gloria.
Were you hoping that people in our neighborhood might take better care of our streets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting them to do it and not us. I was we do it, but I was expecting that they would also do it.
Yeah, you were hoping that they would care like you care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that somebody who was elected in the city of Windsor has seen your letter and has responded to it. Does it feel good knowing that at least somebody in the local government has seen the thing that bothers you?
Well, it feels good, but about it, it's neutral. I don't feel bad about it, but I don't feel great about it either. I just feel good that somebody actually paid attention to it.
Is there anything else that you would want to see to change?
Well, I would like to see that there would be more people who care about the environment and that they would help and at least care about the things in the environment.
A strong desire for change and an engaged citizen here in Windsor. Glad to see that she was able to do what she could to make something different. We did reach out to the well-known government Ward 4 councillor Mark McKenzie as well to figure out what he thinks about the letter and what can be done to tackle litter, but he did not respond. Wright told us that she would like to see a neighborhood cleanup take place. Take a live look outside where it is a little bit sloppy. It's rainy, it's wet, it's cold, it's not nice, but this is that time of the year when it's all shifting around anyways. We'll have a full look at your forecast when we come back. One of those days where the rain jacket is needed, but it might not be warm enough to get you through that chill. Victor Paulo with a look at the weather forecast.
Windsor, hope all is well. Now, one thing to note when we're looking at what we're expecting for the weather here, it is going to be a windy one tonight. Now, that windy night is going to be followed up with a bit of thunder showers, and it will be a sunny weekend ahead. That's the good news once all of that is behind us. Now, average temperatures this time of year, 10.1 is your average high for the region, and 2.3 is your average low. So remember those two numbers when we're looking at our 3 and 7 day forecast. Now, a couple of watches and warnings for the surrounding area. Just want to note, if you do take a look here, there's no freezing rain like around the GTA, but one thing that we do have around here, of course, with the water so close, is severe wind warnings. Now, that severe wind will be out of the way by the time we reach midnight on Friday. So for the next 24 plus hours, you want to make sure that you have things buckled on down because you don't want that wind to take it away. Now, tomorrow morning, when your little ones and my little Emmy's getting ready for school, it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud over in Windsor. It's going to be 7 degrees. It's going to feel like 3 degrees. And the good news is it is not going to be as chilly as we're going to be expecting later on this week. Now, why do I say that? Because when we are looking at our 3 and 7 day forecast, we can see that tomorrow's going to be a beautiful high of 12, followed by a high of 10 degrees. But then here comes the chilly overnights. Look at that -1 in store for Friday. Look at that 0 for Saturday. And don't forget, between these 2 days, there is a severe wind warning for the region, so you definitely want to make sure you are prepared for that. Now, when it comes to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we can see that it will be a continuation of sunny days. Now, it will be a sun and cloud on Monday with just a touch chance of rain, but the good news that we can see as well is once those 7 degrees are out of our way, we got a streak of 11-degree weather. Now, the big news here when it comes for the Windsor region is we are expecting to avoid all of that rain that's washing its way through the GTA. Now, tonight, there will be thunder showers as mentioned, but once the thunder showers and that severe wind is out of our way, we can see that it will be a beautiful, glorious, sunny weekend ahead. Hope you all have a remaining beautiful day, and over to you.
We come back with a look at what is happening at the Rafah border as Canadians try to leave Gaza. The gate was closed again today for Canadians desperate to get out of Gaza. The Rafah border crossing into Egypt shut down a day after some Canadians were able to leave. There's about 500 Canadians, permanent residents, and their families waiting to get out of Gaza. 40 had been cleared to leave today, but so far none have crossed. Yesterday, 75 Canadians able to reach Egypt. They were driven to Cairo, about 400 kilometers away. They're being put up at a hotel next door to the Canadian embassy. They have just 3 days to then arrange the rest of their trip where they have to leave Egypt. Global Affairs Canada has brought in extra staff from around the world to expedite the process. Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka testifying today at the civil fraud trial against the Trump Organization in New York. Ivanka Trump told the court she played no role in her father's personal financial statements, saying that she was generally familiar with accounting practices, but not a specialist, and said it's difficult to remember details from several years ago. Her 2 adult brothers have already testified. Most recently, her father testified on Monday, but unlike her siblings and her father, Ivanka is not a defendant in the case. The lawsuit accuses the former U.S. president and the family business of inflating the value of their assets to mislead lenders and insurers. The judge has already ruled that the conduct amounted to fraud and is now considering what penalties to impose. The biggest ever flawless blue diamond came up for auction at Christie's, fetching nearly $44 million US.
The Bleu Royal, 34 million francs. Isaac, for you.
That's a 17.6 carat stunner known as the Bleu Royal. It's among the rarest ever unearthed. The diamond's unique because of its rich blue color and its unchanged, brilliant pear shape. One of the most expensive diamonds ever sold at auction. A lot pricier than a McRoyal. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.